Hold on a second. Hold on a second. It's Sunday, so you know what that means. It is Sunday with Street. Footballville's own, the legendary, more followers than you can count, Darrell Streeter.
What's good? What's good, man?
Doing great, man. Hey, I'm sorry I'm so disorganized, man. It's the weekend, so we try to get in where we fit in here on the weekends. I could get away from my kids for an hour and record this one. So the time is a little off, man, but I appreciate you being able to find us, get some time, and jump on here, man. We really do appreciate it.
No, man, I got some time, man. I mean, have fun when I jump on here, bro.
No, man, have fun when you're on too. You know, I was at practice today, and somebody came up to me. He's like, "Man, when are you gonna get Streeter on, man? We love those episodes." So he'll be happy listening right now. But listen, so just big picture. I know you've been out there a bit. You've talked to people. You're always listening. You're always having those conversations with the villains. So I'm sure you'll talk about here in a second. You got the chat's already going crazy. So first couple practices. I know it's early. But just, some initial thoughts about things that are sticking in your mind.
The music. One thing is maybe a small thing, but the music isn't blasting like it was before, and that atmosphere. I don't know if it left with Cooney. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that atmosphere when Cam Kitchens and Cam and James will be dancing, and that's not there. That's not there. It's a lot of teaching. It's a lot of yelling going on. It seems like an experienced bunch, and you could feel kind of the competition, right? You can feel kind of the intensity and the competition because I think the transfer portal has created depth, and depth and talent creates competition, which I believe competition is what developed kids, right? I don't always think it's some coach with cones and shit out there every day. I think Clinton Portis having Frank Gore and Willis McGahee push him, develops him to stay on top. I think Malachi Tony pushing a Ray develops both of them. Yeah, it's an uncomfortable feeling, but we forgot. I mean, D-Money, we forget when Frank Gore was sitting on the bench, just twiddling his thumbs, playing with his gloves because of how deep the team was, right? Yeah, I mean, so that's what it is when you're recruiting at high level and you have a roster like Mario's been doing the last 3-4 years. So now you start creating these uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable competition. And everybody's pulling for their guy, but that's what the good teams look like when it comes to rosters.
It's interesting. So you talked about the music. I thought at first when you said that you were talking about when they blast the music when you're for like the road games and stuff like that. So I was like, no music because we're at home, right? But then as you kept talking, I realized what you meant was, like the kind of that loose kind of dancing around, like having fun, kind of doing it for the gram. Yeah. It is
right.
It's physical out there, man. No question about it. And I want to ask you, so before you hopped on, I was on the wide receiver group. A lot of guys that I'm sure you hear about when you're doing your chats with the villains, and you'll talk about what you do with the Discord and everything else. But I always hear about guys like Chance Robinson, Ray Joseph, and JoJo Trader, the local guys, right? Malachi Tony. That's a battle that's very interesting to me. I thought about it for a while. Name that kind of is jumping out on my end, Malachi Tony. Right, this is somebody who just seems beyond his years. He talked to his mom. I feel like she knows more football than half the people in the stands. Right,
She does.
And it rubs off on the kid. I mean, he is a football only. I've never seen him do anything besides practice football, talk about football. You hear that he's just kind of locked in that way. So, what can you tell me about Malachi and just this receiver battle in general and how you're sizing up with so much local kids that you know for a while?
I think I spoke to Malachi the other day at Media Day, and I told him like watching him at the University of Miami in spring was like the most explosive I've seen him. It was weird. It was like watching someone step up, getting a room where there's older guys, there's talent, and he stepped his game up. And it was like it's almost like he stepped his game up. Like, oh, all right, listen, I'm in this room, but these guys don't scare me. So you take a Malachi Tony, who was a quarterback his whole entire life. For the people who didn't know, we're going to have to tell these stories for the next 3 years. You know what I'm saying? He was a quarterback his whole entire life. That's why he was able to go to quarterback in the playoff run and win it, because that's what he is. He's naturally a quarterback, right? Him and his family made a decision for him to go to wide receiver. You take him and you put him at wide receiver with the DNA of his dad who's like a Dade County legend, the whole legend. He beat Devin Hester in the race, which is truly real, because Devin Hester texted me about it, but but it really did happen. You know what I'm saying? He beat Devin Hester in the race, and one of the fastest, most exciting kids we've seen folklore stories coming out of Dade County is his dad. You met his mom. His mom is thorough. I mean, she's put out nothing but athletes. I mean, all the brothers were high-end athletes. But Malachi Tony walks in this room where there's a Ray that's been sitting behind a Restrepo, right? And he's been sitting behind a Restrepo, trying to get to Restrepo, who statistically on paper is one of the University of Miami's greatest wide receivers. And he's hungry. And then you add a Malachi Tony in, who comes in and is just super talented, right? So Ray has to raise his game, right? I saw Ray catch a down and out the other day, and it looked like Santana Moss. I can't lie. He ran it so fast, and we haven't had speed we haven't had that speed, right? And I think that's what competition does, right? Like either you're going to sink or you're going to swim. You got one guy, nobody's talking about Josh Moore. Like it seems every practice he goes deep and catches the ball on somebody's head. He's a quiet guy, laid back guy. He's not going to force the issue. But he's there. He's there. And then you got an Upshaw who comes in, and he did very well in the spring, right?
Yep.
But then the part that people don't want to talk about is the transfer portal kids and actually paying the transfer portal kids NIL money, right? so they come in with that, and I think sometimes that puts them in front, right? And you kind of have to take it from them, like Horton had to take it from Sam Brown, right? Yep. That puts them in front of the guys that are there because how NIL works and where the money comes from. We ain't got to get into all of that. But how it works is you told some these guys have value. They believe they have value. So sometimes like a CJ Daniels gets first look, right?
Yep.
So he gets out there. CJ Daniels gets out there. So it seems like it's a JoJo, CJ Daniels, and a Ray. That's what it looks like to me. And then you add a tight end. You add tight end to that, Lofton to that, and that is just Carson Beck having. That's Carson Beck having weapons that I don't think he's had in his career. But a CJ Daniels who looks like, to me, he looks like Rambo Sam Brown, like without, like not as athletic as Sam Brown. He doesn't seem to be a fast guy. Yeah, but he seems he could run a route, put his foot in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? He's skilled. Yeah. He could catch the ball on the sideline, you know, and get 2 feet down. Yeah, right. That's what it seems like to me. He made a few plays this week, which awed X, my partner. X went to tweeting about it. I was like, oh, X, hold up, X. X went to tweeting about him, but he made a few plays this week that kind of wowed X. So I don't think he's the guy that's. He reminds me of kind of Horton, right? Like he's kind of the same guy, with probably more experience. So you get those guys out in front, and then Akeem Marion will get a shot. Who doesn't seem as polished, right? He doesn't seem as polished as a wide receiver yet, but very quick. Saw him running back punts, and I mean, he looks like a natural running back punts. I mean, but doesn't seem as polished. But because of the way NIL is set up, those guys will get a look, and it's kind of like you have to take it from them, like Mark Fletcher and Damian. Like last year with Damian, the running back, and we didn't know what was going on. We're like, man, he doesn't look better than Mark Fletcher. Like, but he's starting. Like, what the hell is going on? And, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's going to be there. But whatever battle and competition, I just hope that they rotate the guys this year, bro.
Yeah, no, and look, we'll see. It might look a certain way in camp. Yeah, and look, it might look a certain way in camp, and then you get to the games, and the player that you didn't think was going to step up is the one getting open and catching the ball, and you kind of adjust to that, right? We've seen that happen before too. So question from Grizz. He's asking, who's going to be our Jeremiah Love stopper? Appreciate your support, Grizz. I mean, it's going to be a team effort. I'm sounding like a coach cliche central here, but you don't stop. It's not like basketball. Remember they had the Jordan stoppers or whoever the guy was going to cover the player. It's going to be a team effort on that one. I think the key with Jeremiah Love is and it's easier said than done. You have to avoid the 70-yard, 60-yard touchdown. Look, if that's a 30-yard run on his best run, you're not happy about it, but at least you got him down to the ground. But then so it's almost like the team up front and then the safeties, which you got 2 new safeties. If Jacoby Thomas or whoever's getting turned around, this guy's going 60, 70, that's a different play than if you get him down to the ground. Maybe you tighten up on defense, freshman quarterback, you force a field goal. Maybe the kicker misses the field goal. It's a live, crazy stadium. So to me, it's just avoid the back-breaking explosive play with Love. He's a great player. You never really stop guys like that unless you're really having just an unbelievable day up front. But don't let him get all the way out is what I would say. Tackle, avoid the big
have you seen them running the drills yesterday? Notre Dame put out a video of him. Oh my fucking God!
They were talking about it today. They were like, "Man, that's just practice, man. Everybody can look like that on skeleton." So it's like, I don't know. That was the talk of town today. I was talking to people about that one.
It was like he was floating on water. But Jordan Lyle looks like that in practice. He looks like the shiftiest, quickest. Like he looks like the shiftiest, quickest back we have, even though we have those smaller guys. But he looks smooth like that. But man, that was impressive yesterday. You're right, man. It's going to be all 11 having to corral to tackle that guy. We got a Wesley who I think is going to play really fast this year.
Yep.
I think he's going to play fast. I just think it took the years for him to get it. And once he gets the defense down pack, he runs fast to the ball. Like he gets to the ball fast. But it'll take all 11 to stop him because that's what they're going to hit us with.
Yeah, we almost got 1,300 on live. So like and subscribe to this show, man. That's the word got out. The streeter was on, so the numbers are flying up here, man. So
how many was on here before I got in here, dog? How many was on? Come on, stop it, man.
Probably about 800. But listen. So you touched on a couple of receivers. I'm going to go back to Malachi because I have a specific question I want to ask you. Because I know these are people you've just seen in their progression, not just what we're seeing right now. But with Ray Joseph, right? I know you're tight with Luke. We hear all about Ray all the time, but the kid himself, he didn't ask for all that. This guy's working hard, studying the playbook, working on his body, trying to get better. You don't hear him say, at least outwardly, like I'm sure he wants the ball, he wants to play, but you don't hear him talking, yapping or anything like that, causing problems. He's out there putting his head down, working. I have seen him look quicker and faster to me than he did before. I don't know if it was an injury or if there was a weight situation, or if maybe it's just my perception and he's just playing with more confidence. But he looked quicker and faster to me from spring. He looked quicker than he did in the season, and then that's carried over to now. So I don't know what you think about Ray.
That's what it is with Ray. I think, and I'm gonna put this on Dawson. I think Dawson has an offense in his head and the way it should be set up, and it's kind of like he don't go outside of what the pieces should look like. So a Ray and a Brashard Smith and a Chris Johnson, I think it's hard for him, but not so much Ray as much as those two to put those guys in. I think Ray is a guy who you have to put the ball in his hands. Now he's been working with Sly who's done Restrepo and Jeremiah, and it's Sly's kind of helped him, you know what I'm saying, in route running. Because I think Ray was just a ball in hand guy, kind of like Brashard
Sly Johnson, who you're talking about, for those who don't know, Sly Johnson.
Sly Johnson, right? Premier athletes, wide receiver trainer. He trained Restrepo. He was the only trainer Jeremiah Smith ever had. JoJo is a disciple. Chance is a disciple from. So all those guys came through Sly, and I vouch for him, his concept and things. But Ray had to kind of slow down. Like he had to, hey, listen, you don't have to run a route at full speed in order. It's about this and it's about that, the way you get open. And Ray kind of talked about some of that on media day. But I think, dog, like I think he's a guy that once he catches that down and out, right, and he put his foot in the ground,
he's going to go 60, 50, 40. Like, you're not running him down. Like, it's not like right when Restrepo would catch a down and out, right? You're not catching him. And we haven't had speed like that in a long time. Like, you could send him on a go ball, and he may be the fastest guy we have to just send on a go ball to stretch a defense. And we haven't had speed like that in a long time. But I question, like, Dawson. Like does Dawson have the patience, or, you know what I'm saying, does Dawson, like, want to get him involved that way? He seemed to be very comfortable with a Restrepo. And they may fall some on Carson Beck, too. Carson Beck is a very experienced guy. He may know how to get him involved, because we need those big plays, bro. Like we need to be able to have those 2-play drives, like we had with Duke Johnson and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
We're not that fast to the top level. Compared, it does say Miami to, like, the Miami we've seen at the top compared to now. I wouldn't say speed at those positions is where we're, you know, that's not our strength. It's not like, you know, you have Philip Dorsett, Travis Benjamin, you know, guys like that. Even on top of the street, you don't have guys of that speed, like track guys, basically, that can play football as well. So I can see Ray kind of helping with that situation, because you're right. He's not just a normal slot that's kind of quicker than fast. He's quick, and he's also fast as well. Sometimes it's like a Restrepo, you're quick, not fast. He's quick and fast. I want to ask you, going back to Malachi for a second, because I made this comparison before you got on, but, you know, you have more background.
Hold on, D. Hold on. Before we get off Ray, hold on. I got a question for your chat, and then you can ask me a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why when there's a kid, right, that wants to be a Cane, he sits down, he works hard, right?
All right, know where you're going. I love it.
It seems like the fan base, like kind of, they kind of start getting sour on that guy, because they start in their mind thinking he's not good enough. But all you guys ever ask for is, I want a kid that wants to be a Cane. Right? But then when you get one, you want to try to fill his roster spot.
Let me ask you, Street, did you talk to Mirabal on media day? Were you around when he talked about Samson? Because he said
no, I wasn't. I didn't say.
It's on video. We got it up on the website. He said the exact same thing about Samson, which was basically exactly what you just said. He goes, because someone asked about Samson, and he was already ready for it. He was waiting for someone to kind of give some negativity on Samson. He jumped on him, and he was like, listen, everybody's going after Samson. We talk about the portal all the time, how bad it is. People don't, you know, they do a little bit, they leave, or they leave before they've done anything. This guy stayed with the program. Speaking about Samson, you can say the same thing about Ray.
A 5-star pancake. Yep.
You could tell Mirabal was ready for it. It wasn't like it was off the cuff. He had like thought about it. He was ready to kind of give that little.
And what did he say? What did he say?
Just like, hey, he goes, you guys say you hate the portal and people leaving and lack of loyalty, but then you got a kid that's loyal, doing it right, trying to develop, and everybody's saying what's wrong. So in the context of Samson, but you could say the same thing about Ray. So that's
right. Hold on. You want me to see your chat crazy? I'm good. I'm gonna see your chat crazy right now. The same thing went with Ja'Cory Brown, right? Ja'Cory Brown wanted to sit at Miami and become that 4th year, 5th year starter, get better at that's all he wanted, right? And he got ushered out of here, right? For everybody who needed Ja'Cory Brown update, he's UCF starter this year. They brought in 2 guys to take his position. He's going to be the starter. So that's when the question first started at. I'm glad that Mirabal said that. Like, why would you get a kid, right, that wants to be a Cane? He wants to sit down. You know what I'm saying? He wants the fan base. They want to. The first thing they start thinking is he sucks, or I don't know. Like, get him out of here. Like, he's taking up space. But he wants to be. Some of these kids perform in their 4th year, their 5th year. Carson Beck got on the field, what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It took him his 4th year.
So that is a good question for the chat, dog. Huh?
It was his 4th year. He sat out, redshirted, back up for 2 years. Then his 4th year as a redshirt junior is when he got on the field.
Yeah.
For 4 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I sent your chat crazy with the Ja'Cory Brown shit. They're gonna be talking about that for the rest of the night with the Ja'Cory Brown shit. So I just sent you.
Hey, no, let's talk about this one. It's funny. I know, obviously, you caused a stir last night. I was standing next to you, I think, during the spring game when he made those plays, and you were kind of like strutting around. Remember that? Because that was after it already kind of you dropped the ball on it. And he had a really good spring game. I remember the order of that, right? I remember seeing you after that. I always liked Jakari. I mean, I saw him in high school. I thought he was really talented. Just a big, strong, athletic kid. You could tell he liked football. He was tough. He ran people over. He had the HBK. I mean, that's pro wrestling. That's my guy, Shawn Michaels, a Heartbreak Kid. So he's a wrestling fan. So he got a bonus for that one with me. I will say, to be fair, he did not have the best spring that year, right? That year, he did not have the best spring. I always thought he had ability. Truthfully, to me, I think it worked out for him because this UCF offense, I mean, we had an offense kind of built around Cam Ward last year. So like, let's say Cam Ward gets hurt. Thank God he didn't. You know, Jakari would have had a whole different situation. Whereas if he's a starter, you could say we're going to build around Jakari. But as a backup, that's a little trickier. You've seen that happen in the pros sometimes where it's hard for the mobile quarterback to be a backup because, you know, if the starter likes to sit in the pocket more, or at least pass more than run, you know, you have to switch the offense to the backup. So you see that sometimes. I think he made a good decision going to UCF because he does have a talented arm.
He did.
He's he has the mind of a quarterback and he can run.
I think Frost, they sent two guys in to basically take his position. They transferred two guys, and I mean he's out. He beat them both out. I think he beat them both out. I think the offense is kind of tailored more to him. But I mean, and we can go on from here. I just knew he was better than Reese Profenberger. I knew that. That's all I was trying to argue. At the least, I knew who Reese would never start for a D1 school, a Power 5 school like that. I knew he was better than Reese. You couldn't have convinced me to that. I'm not Ray Charles.
Definitely more talented.
You couldn't have convinced me to that.
Definitely. I think, I mean, if I'm being, again, I'm not even playing devil's advocate. I'll tell you what I really think. I'm a Jakari Brown fan too. I'm not one of these people that's just like, this guy's sorry. I think if you build an offense around him, he can play quarterback. And if you don't build an offense around him, I think, you know, wide receiver, he'd be incredible. But I think he can play quarterback if you build it around him the right way. I just think last year it was such a Cam Ward-centric operation, as we saw when the season started, that it's hard to have a Cam Ward-centric operation and then a totally different Jakari Brown center situation as the backup. You know what I mean? So like, if the whole thing's built around Cam, you want his backup to be.
I think that's what. Right. I think that's what made him an outlier. Right. That's what made him an outlier. That's what forced me to ask Mario those hard questions. But that's what made him an outlier. Dawson I don't think Dawson wanted to. You're right. Like, you didn't want it. It couldn't shift to that. You know what I'm saying? But that's fine. I mean, like I said, he set the start and he's good on that. So you was going to ask me about Tony, right?
Yeah, good memory. So I was going to ask you about Tony because the comparison I made. I know you were out of the city for a little bit, right? You were. I know you served and you were out of the city for a little bit. So I don't know if you were around when this was going down, when this player was in high school. But we're looking for like a comparison for Malachi Tony. And I've heard people compare him to Santana Moss. I don't know if he has that kind of pure speed of a Santana. To me, Santana was so fast. He kind of reminds me a little bit. I'll pull up the video, and this is just an excuse to pull up this old video because I love doing this. You know, I like looking at these old highlights and breaking them down with you. You talked about Duke Johnson from Norland, Antonio Brown, right? So you're looking at Antonio Brown. He's about the same size.
I heard you say that.
Same speed. Like physically, they're not that much different. And you look at all these highlights of Brown in high school when he was under recruited. He's playing quarterback. You know, he just kind of looks like him, right? Just, I don't know, quick. He's super smart. Forget all the stuff that kind of happened to Brown off the field. I'm not talking about that, obviously, but he's smart when it comes to playing football and working at football. You can't say he's not a cerebral player. So I don't know, man. Maybe Malachi passed more than Brown was like a running quarterback, but I don't know, man. What do you think about that comparison? Tell me why I'm an idiot.
Malachi. Well, Malachi wasn't really a running quarterback. Malachi was kind of. I can't even say Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell ran more than Malachi. I think you kind of hit it with. How fast was Antonio Brown? Like if you gave him a 40.
He's not going. He's not one of these guys that's going to run the 100 meters. You know what I mean? He was like fast, but not. He's not like Santana Moss or anything like that. He's probably like 4.45.
Right, but you never would have known that. You would have never thought. Yeah, you never would have known that watching him play. That you would never would have thought that he lacked any speed. Man, I think I want to say closer to Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell was a short yard blazer. Like he would always win shuttle runs at these camps and stuff. Yeah, he was fast. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was such a technician and worked so hard. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. But I want people to understand when Malachi Tony played quarterback in youth football, he was a throwing quarterback. Like he understood exactly what was going on. And I'm talking about from like 9, 10, 11 years old. He could command the offense. He knew what was going on. He knew where everybody was at. I have a lot of videos of Malachi at quarterback.
Yeah, and
that's crazy that Antonio Brown comes out of New Orleans, and he's like one of the hush guys. It kind of reminds you of like a Amari Cooper, right? Like as good as he was, like when you think of greats in South Florida, you don't even think of him.
I never heard of him until he got to college. So I mean, he really flew under the radar, and I was following everything at the time, you know. But look at him, man, he was so quick. You said something that's very true. You said a lot of things that are very true, but one thing that I want to focus on, which is, you know, Malachi, you're right. He was not a running quarterback. I saw him in just the last game he played, right, was the state championship game against Orlando Jones with Darion Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like 17 for 18. And truthfully, if you went out there and watched the game, you wouldn't say like he's like, you know, Lamar Jackson or any of these guys. You're like, this guy looks like Cam Ward, because he was out there just reading the defense, chucking it. He'll run a little bit to the side, you know. He wasn't wanting to run. He was a throwing quarterback all day.
Or at least Charlie Ward. At least Charlie Ward, right? Like Charlie Ward. One of the Wards.
That's right. Well, anyways, I want to get that comparison out there. Also want to shout out Crashlight, man. You are the man. We appreciate you. Appreciate your support for this show, for the website, for everything that we do out here on CanesInSight, man. Appreciate your consistent support. You are people like you and everybody else, the reason why we do this thing, man. So appreciate you. Machete brought me back to earth. Then what are we talking about, Antonio Brown? We on this year. Only care about the men on this you. I'm just trying to do some compare. Hey, listen, we're trying to switch it up a little bit.
It's so bossy in the chat, right?
Barbership talk. So just like, you know, going back a little bit, you know, not necessarily always just what happened today, right? We watch this for a while. You've seen patterns emerge. You've seen this and that where you say, hey, history repeating itself with this and that. You got to look back sometimes to understand the players and the team that you're watching. So maybe I go down memory lane too much, but I love
no. I think that adds character to what you do, man. Don't listen to these people, man. We love them, but it's thousands of them. They all have different ideas. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of do what you feel is comfortable, bro. And I think that you're able. I think the fact that you're able to do that on the fly. You know how many guys that have channels that can't. They don't know how to go find those videos. Like, they don't know what they're looking at. Like, they don't know how to find them.
I'm learning too. I'm used to having Pete out here to produce, man. I'm producing myself. I don't think I even know how to turn on the computer without my wife helping me. So this is we're learning together out here on this whole deal. But okay, so you know, Carson Beck. This is someone who people don't realize, because one thing about Beck that people don't realize when it comes to you is they see you sitting down with Camp Kitchens or whoever from, you know, South Florida. You go down the list all the way on Hall of Famers. We know the people. Just check out your page, Footballville. Of course, check out the Discord at Footballville. But you've interviewed a lot of South Florida guys.
Yeah.
I don't know that you also, while he was at Georgia, interviewed Carson Beck. So you know him before this, and I know you've been at practice. You've seen him throw. You've heard kind of talk about Carson Beck just because you talk to a lot of people. Where are you at on Carson Beck right now? Given we got more information now that he's at least started throwing in public. So where are you at Carson Beck?
I think when I put out the video, I mean, I think it's maybe up to 8,000 views or something like that. A lot of people enjoyed it. Some people was like, "Oh, Streeter, why you didn't ask a Miami question?" It was 2 years ago. But what I want you guys to understand, it was me actually showing. I'm showing you what he was saying before he got the start. So think about this. He was talking about his whole journey right before he got to start. This was months before he got to be the starter. And he talks about everything he'd been through when he thought he was ready, when he knew he wasn't ready, when he thought he was ready, and that whole journey. And then so I'm like, hey, listen, you about to start. I saw you at spring, you carved up this damn defense. But think about everything, cause think about everything he'd been through up until then, and you're like, damn, he was experienced. He was experienced the first day he started. And then you think about who we have. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at it that way. Now, what do you call it, D? Like, if he was experienced then, just not on the field, right? He knew he was ready to go. Hey, man, I've been sitting here. I'm ready to go. I went to watch him in that spring, and he carved that goddamn Jalen Carter defense up. He carved it up. This is 2 years later, bro. And you guys complaining about this is 2 years later. We have the best quarterback in college football at UM. And I'm telling you now, I don't have to wait to after. Like with Cam Ward, we said it before. Holy crap, this guy's finna be our quarterback. I can't believe this. We have the best quarterback in college football. I know the guy. I've spent a lot of time with him. Very smart guy. Now I have the experience to go with it. As a coach, you can't, man, every time I talk to Dawson about this guy, he goes to smiling. You can't ask for much more.
So I want to talk about, I don't want to compare him too much to Ward, but one thing that I noticed about the two, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is to me, both of them are so quick-minded, right? Mentally, football-wise. Just, I don't think it takes them a long, because they're, number one, because they're smart, number two, because they both got a lot of experience. I don't think it takes them that long to figure out what's going on in front of them, right? The difference I see is that Ward will take that information, but he'll hold on to it because he knows, hey, if someone comes through, I'll get rid of them. I want to hunt down the field. I'm going to buy the time I need to go down. So he's not holding the ball because he doesn't know what's happening. He holds the ball because he knows, hey, I can always elude this guy. Let me get Restrepo, get open down here, whatever it is.
Right.
Whereas Beck, he'll read it fast also. And both these guys got really quick releases too, both of them. But then Beck will read it and be like, all right, this is not open. Check down. Boom. Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle.
Next play. Yeah, next play. Mm-hmm.
You think there's a fair comparison as far as those two and kind of how they operate?
Yeah. Right. Just two different type of quarterbacks. I'll ask people this. Here's a question for you. If you had to win a national championship, right, and you had the same wide receivers, the same squad that we had last year, you got to win a national championship. Who would you choose to be your quarterback? Ken Dorsey or Cam Ward?
I'm going to say Cam Ward. Personally, I know what you're getting at, but I got to take Cam, man. Put Cam Ward on Andre Johnson. You kidding me?
We watched Ken Dorsey make all the right decisions, right? None of it was flashy. None of it was, you know what I'm saying? But, dog, he was a great quarterback for us. He made all the right decisions. And with one game on the line, right? It's a question. It's a question you got to ask yourself, right? It's like, yes, Cam Ward was this exceptional talent who sometimes forced the issue, which came out, worked in our favor. It was great to watch. It was a great to experience. But I just want you to realize that you could have two different type of quarterbacks and still be great. There was no Cam Ward in the college football playoffs.
That's a great point.
There was nothing close to a Cam Ward. We've had this conversation in the Villa membership numerous times.
Let's go through that because I think you made a great point. I wanted to just kind of walk through it so we could see. So you had the team that won, Will Howard. I think we all agree he was nothing special as far as the talent. Riley Leonard for Notre Dame couldn't really throw. Drew Aller has a lot of hype when it comes to NFL because of his size and the arm, but he's not really doing much as far as making big plays at college. You know, I don't think he did much in the playoffs as far as anything close to what we saw from a Ward, right? Boise State, they didn't have a quarterback. Clemson, Clay Cummings, okay, you know, he's getting better, but he's not a physically dominant player who took over the game single-handed. Quinn Ewers, I thought, really wasn't very impressive.
Something happened to him. I don't know what happened to him, but something went right with him.
It physically doesn't seem like he's where you think he would have been. Kevin Jennings from Southern Methodist, you certainly wouldn't say he's anywhere near a Cam Ward. You saw him in the playoffs. Indiana had Curtis Rourke, Dylan Gabriel for Oregon, which is certainly not athletic and talented to the level of what
Right.
Ward is. I mean, I think I just went through everybody. Maybe I left out a couple, but I don't think I left up anybody that's in the conversation with Ward.
And that's what I'm saying. There was no Cam Ward in college football playoffs. I was invited to Texas, Ohio State, right? Jeremiah Smith family reached out to me. His dad was like, "Hey, I got you a ticket. Let's go." Damn right, I'm going. And that was the game that they bracketed Jeremiah. He couldn't get open. You know what I'm saying? But what I realized in that game is that they bracketed Jeremiah. I ain't gonna say he couldn't get open. They bracketed him, and his quarterback. This was the first time I realized this. His quarterback chose not to throw the ball that way. He was like, "I'm not dealing with that." And when he did throw it, he threw an interception. And that's when I realized that, damn. So sometimes when a wide receiver gets shut down, like it's the quarterback deciding not to, like a Marino will force the issue. Cam Ward is like, "Fuck it, we don't care what y'all doing. I got a hold. I'm gonna get the ball in there." He decided not to throw the ball that way, and that is the level of quarterback that Ohio State had. He didn't want any. He just kept on the ball to Cornell Tate. That kid won the damn national championship. You know what I'm saying? They won a national championship with that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need a Cam Ward to win. Carson Beck experience is what I think Dawson gets so happy about. And what I think makes him feel good about is that Carson walks in talking about things that nobody in that room has experienced.
Yep. And you talk about, go ahead.
And I talked to him. I mean, I talked to Carson and he's played in some huge games. He knows he's in the ACC. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been through a lot, and now you send him to the ACC, and yeah, it's to him. 2 years ago, I talked to him about the game slowing down. Oh, it's going to look slow for him this year, and he's going to make some plays for us.
So we talked about things that maybe Cam Ward and Beck have differences with. One of the things I think is very similar is kind of what you were talking about a second ago, which is experience. You know, like with Ward, he's not somebody that was just like, you remember Michael Vick when he was a freshman at Virginia Tech? Like, it was just like, he was born with it. He was out there and it was like, he was just born with it. He was faster than everybody. He had a better arm than everybody. He knew no one could tackle him. It was just easy. Ward worked his way to be what he was. And by the time we got him, he had played 4 seasons as a starter. 2 at Incarnate Word, 2 at Washington State. 4 seasons as a starter. Usually when you start 4 seasons in college, in the history of college football, you start 4 seasons, you're out the door. But because of this COVID year, you see Jaden Daniels have 5 years as a starter. Bo Nix have 5 years as a starter. And then now Cam Ward had 5 years as a starter. So you have guys with just extra experience. They know the answers to the test, kind of like what you were talking about. They've seen everything already. Beck, 3rd year as a starter coming up, but 6 years in college. He's seen national championships. He's been in big games, the whole thing. So when it comes to experience,
right,
especially with a good offensive line, you have the time to kind of figure out what's in front of you. You can't underestimate that aspect, especially when you're going against a quarterback in Notre Dame that hasn't played one snap.
You can't. You can't. Those guys you just named, Bo Nix stayed in college football long enough to almost over 55,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and we thought he sucked.
Yep. They ran him out of there.
Yeah. So when you talk about experience, they both were experienced, but even Cam Ward had never faced down at Alabama 21-zip on national TV. Even Cam Ward had never been with the college playoff on the line, national television. I'm down 10 points to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Even Cam Ward didn't come here with that. So when Carson Beck walks in the room and he says, "Man, listen, first we got to believe." Those guys looking at him have to believe him because he's been there. We all was watching him down 21-zip at Alabama, fucking Jalen Monroe dancing in the end zone. Like, we all watched it.
Yeah.
He should have won that game. If the defense gets a stop, it's not just, hey, he had a great comeback and they lost. It's they won. His last play really, was a touchdown. He should have won that game right there. So
yeah. So and that's what Dawson told me. Like even with Cam Ward experience, he didn't come in with that experience. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come in like there is no quarterback in college football that has the experience that Carson Beck has been through.
Scrutiny, media, all that stuff, the Lamborghini, the girl, he's getting criticized a lot. So that's all been part of the equation too.
The worst thing could come out of this is Carson Beck go first round and fucking Dawson goes to the Giants. And now we got to start over again. That's the worst thing to come out of this, D.
Well, you know what, though? Let's say that happens, which sometimes when you're successful, things happen, right? Alabama lost a lot of coaches when they were winning championships because, you take the coaches from the teams that are winning, right? So it's a bad problem. It's a good problem, too. But I'll say this. If that does happen, which I think very realistic, right? He goes first round. Dawson says, I'm a head coach. I'm going to the NFL, whatever it is. Now, if I'm looking for a new offensive coordinator, I'm looking for a new transfer portal quarterback. If you go in that direction, if you're a transfer portal quarterback and I say, hey, my last two guys went first round, now you're the guy, you going to say no to that? Right. Yeah. So offensive coordinator, you say, hey, you're the hot offensive coordinator of a smaller school. You can come here. You're going to have good offensive line guaranteed. You really don't got to recruit. Morrow's going to recruit everybody. Plus, you just got to talk to one quarterback. We're going to be getting the best portal guys. So you're getting veteran guys to run your system right away for the most part. That's a pretty good job, I think, for the next guy.
So you think the job will look so because I mean we may be bringing in Austin or somebody who knows next year. You know what I'm saying? But you think the job will look so good, right? You know what I'm saying? Jacory may be out of eligibility, but you think the job will look so good that we will finally get that big time OC. We can finally get that guy because it's almost like, hey, listen, they're going to get me a quarterback, or at least they got one in the stable. Like Bird keep talking about Luke Nickel or somebody's Emery sitting back there. Like, so maybe that may open up and it may be like a job that guys want to jump into.
I just think offensive line. So let's say you're an offensive coordinator, right? Sri, your plays, you have the plays, you have the feeling of an offensive. You trust your ability. If I think I'm the best offensive coordinator in the world and I go to a team where they can't block anybody up front, your skills are not going to show because I don't care who you have a quarterback. I don't care how good your plays are. If they can't block them, you're done. So to go into a place where the offensive line is going to be there, now it's like, all right, at least I know I'll be able to run my offense. And if I got a veteran quarterback kind of knocking down my door, I can kind of take my pick and say, you here. You played however many games, 30 games already. I don't need to bring you up to speed like a pup. Now you're just calling plays, man. It's easy, I think, in that respect.
No, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense, though.
Listen, I've had you for like 50 minutes. You're the man. I don't want to keep you too long. Before we go, number one, plug your stuff. Plug all your because you're a multimedia situation here. So plug everything. and then probably would just give me a final thought for the Canes fans that they're hearing you preach here on Sunday.
Bro, listen, it's 12-11 wins. I can't. This is, even though we had Cam Ward last year, this is Mario's best shot. And I think things should trend up this way, right? This is his best shot to win it all. Clemson is sitting there, very experienced. I got to vote with the ACC preseason team. Clemson had half the goddamn team. Did you see that?
Yeah. Good build the board.
Bro, I don't even know how that happened. But at some point in time, Miami's going to have to step up and punch Clemson in the mouth and put them back where they came from. I want people to understand there's no way of avoiding it, right? And what I'm saying is a team that won 10 wins and then you add a Carson Beck to that, I don't care who the hell Clemson has. That's your best shot to today. Period. So 11, 12 wins, that has to be the floor. I don't give a damn. 11 wins, that has to be the floor. And Clemson,
eventually has to get put back in Death Valley where the fuck they came from. Like no, bro, we can't allow a team from Death Valley to run a conference for 20 years.
There can only be one, right? If you want to be the top dog, you got to knock them. They got to knock them off.
They got to put them back. We beat them once. Now this time we need to beat them good. I think Notre Dame has a 10-point butt whooping coming. For some reason, I just think we're going to look faster than them again, like we in 2017. Yep. And we was in the Villa membership reliving that game. I was there. I was 300 pounds. I was fat and shit. And we was looking at my video, man, and the crowd was screaming, man, and Notre Dame couldn't do nothing. It was 24-0 at halftime, bro.
Shit, I was fat in 2017 too. I was looking at some old pictures with my kids, and they were laughing at me, man. They were clowning me. They're like, "How'd you get so fat, man?" And I was like, "Hey, I was trying to feed you guys. I was working and trying to deal with you guys. That's how I got fat, man. You're out here laughing at me after the fact." But anyways,
no, bro. I think, bro. I think you added Carson Beck to a 10-win team, bro, and you have the recipe for ACC championship title game. That's just how I see it. Every team has questions. If you don't think the transfer portal has created questions on every team, then you're just delusional. Because it has. So we got the best quarterback in college football. I don't think you could be asking to be sitting in a better spot as a Miami Hurricane. That's just my thoughts.
You got me fired up. All right. So if they want to sit in a spot in a Discord, on a YouTube channel, on a podcast, tell them where to go. They're hearing you now. They know what you're bringing to the table. So tell them where to go.
Okay, so I just added a link under your Twitter, under this video on your Twitter, so you become a villain, or just go to Caneville, follow Caneville 305. We got like 30,000 Twitter followers in the description at the top, the bio. You can become a villain, or go to our highlights on Twitter or any of our YouTube pages. Go check out our YouTube. We're live at the football practice. It's something new we're doing this year. We're live and we're just talking during practice. We show you a little bit of practice. We give you our input on practice. So go check out the videos in the description of any of the videos, man. You can become a villain. It's just our membership. I think is I keep the numbers to myself. There's a couple hundred people in there. You know what I'm saying? And they're in there talking, whether it's in the voice chat all night long about the Canes and crashing out and national championship or bust. But listen, as villains, we got something going on.
You see it in the chat.
We're meeting at the ACC championship. Shout out to Bird. That's it. We got guys buying their tickets now. We're going to get a section and fuck it. We're buying our ACC championship tickets now, and we're going to meet at the ACC championship. And that's the name of all our videos that we're creating this year. Is see you at the ACC championship, bro. I mean, that's the standard at this point, bro. I mean, it's no going backwards. Hope Cristobal watching.
Love it, man. Love it. By the way, you hear me say Footballville, Caneville, and the hat. So people who don't know, Footballville is the broader. That's all college football, high school football. A lot of great content there. Caneville, Cane specific with Discord and everything else. I subscribe to both. Appreciate both products. So, Street Man, appreciate you. Like I said, sorry, we're trying to just get in right here on these Sundays, these weekend shows, because life's crazy. But we're always on in the mornings, and anytime you want to get on, the people go crazy. Just let us know. You got an open invite, man. Appreciate everything you do.
Anytime, bro.